This is Joe Crispin, former Penn State and professional basketball player. You are listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast.
I think you said that he could have gotten more separation.
There were some technique fundamentals in receiver that weren't perfect in the 80s. I had to throw a few points of criticism.
What was it like playing in March Madness? I mean, we have it going on right now.
But playing it was amazing. I mean, like, that's kind of your whole goal is to just be a part of that. It's such a special thing where the whole country is tuning in and anything is really possible, you know.
You know, my optimistic side said, like I said, that we're going to be okay. We just had a bad game. We were probably experimenting a little bit, ran into a good team. So.
If Miami came to our house, we would probably, if anything, win. We wouldn't get blown out.
When you first started playing football, you know, did you always want to play in college?
No, I was growing up. I was a big baseball guy. Loved baseball. And then 8th grade, I remember I got a call from my uncle, Coach Nagel. He's like, hey, I got the job. And I was just like, all right, I'll play football for you.
You are listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast, a podcast by diehard fans for fans. It's as honest and as raw as sports talk can be. Thank you for listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast.
Hey, everybody, this is Greg Garrity.
So Anthony Lottie will punt it away from the 41. Greg Garrity is the deep man for Penn State at the 10-yard line.
Former Penn State receiver and 2016 Big Ten champion. You're listening to the best Penn State Nittany Lion podcast, the Mark Lesko Podcast.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Mark Lesko Podcast covering Penn State basketball with former Penn State great Tyler Smith. Tyler, welcome back, man. Thanks for coming back on.
It's great to be back. That's one heck of an intro, man. I tell you what, you got some great stuff there. I'd probably just play that every morning as like my alarm to wake me up. Let's go.
Yeah, I saw you smiling. I thought I think that might be the first time Tyler saw that because you're in it. Greg's in it. Greg Garrity, Joe's in it. Kyler Cunningham, he plays at Lock Haven, or he did play at Lock Haven. He got too many concussions. So he's a bald eagle guy. He's a really good football player.
Cool.
I think he played against Julian Fleming, Tyler, that plays for Penn State now.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Because Julian Fleming, he's from Southern Columbia. Actually played in the golf tournament for Southern Columbia football. It was pretty cool. Cool. I forget the area we were in, but it was a pretty nice course. It was a country club that we played at. But, yeah, man, it's been an interesting week. Lost to Rutgers. Since we last talked, I think they played 2 games. Lost to Rutgers, beat Coppin State, almost got 100 points.
Oh, my gosh. Destroyed Coppin State.
Did.
Fair. And, I know you schedule these games, and you don't always know what you're going to get. But poor Coppin State, they hadn't won a game yet. I don't know if they've even since. I don't think they have. So they're off to a rough start. I was talking with Steve Jones not too long ago, and he was telling me that one year Coppin State came here and played, and they were on this tour of 12 or 13 games. And they were all away games. They were all money games. So they're just getting paid by everybody and playing all these big name schools, getting blown out. And they're like, listen, man, we got to pay for tennis. You know, we got to pay for all these other sports and stuff. And I just thought it was so funny. And, you do what you got to do when you're the AD and the head coach and stuff. Yeah. But, that's a rough way to start the season. And then they played their conference games, and they were fine. But, man, they had a rough go to start the year.
Yeah, they were probably at the big schools, playing at the big schools, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Steve, he's a really nice guy. Last time I saw him was at the golf course. He was there with a guy that I knew, and he came. My dad and I, we were packing up to go, and he come flying over in the cart and said hello because I worked with him for a short time at WPSU. He sat right across from me. He's really nice guy, and I knew him from other stuff. I can't remember, but super nice guy, Steve Jones.
Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, that guy, he's like AI before AI was around. But his brain has so much sports knowledge. It's unbelievable. Like I'll be talking to him like, man, you remember that game your sophomore year and you hit that jump shot from 17 feet against George Mason on the. I'm like, what? Like I did the actual play. I don't remember it. And you're like, it's unbelievable. It's like those people. We might have to test him. We might have to test him and see if he's got that thing where like you remember every moment of your life. Like there's a handful of people. Like if you go on like 60 minutes or something, and like they'll remember like the color shirt they wore in 1983 on March 3rd. Like he's remarkable, but such a super guy and so fun. And man, he can call a game, dude. I mean, I remember my dad. So when there was once or twice where he called the basketball office. I don't know, like maybe my freshman year or leading up to it, we had some questions about coming to school, and he gets put on hold, and it's Steve Jones, like, "Hey, Chris Penn for 3," and he's just going after it, and then like the staff person comes on, and she's like, "Hey, we're trying to get coached for you," and he's like, "No, put me back on hold. I want to hear what happens at the end of the game."
Oh yeah, he's been here a long time. He took over after Fran Fisher.
Yep.
And for football, and he's just, and he's originally from, I think, like New York, right?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I don't think he's originally from around here, but
yeah.
Yeah. Well, last time, Tyler, I was saying how I was listening to Corey. I used to listen to Corey Geiger a lot, and you were being interviewed by him. You were on his show, and I texted you. I was like, "Hey, are you on Corey Geiger's show right now?" And you said no, and you were talking about your book, I think, and so it was a recording, I guess, but it was funny because it was live, and I was like, "Are you on Corey Geiger?" You said no. But I've heard Steve Jones on there. I think he's been on Corey Geiger. They always went. Corey Geiger always went at Steve Jones. Steve Jones didn't go at Corey Geiger, but yeah.
Well, Corey's pretty edgy, man. He likes to stir things up a little bit, and yeah, they're both fun. They both have their own personality and their own take on stuff, and that's what makes it fun, But yeah, boy, Steve is so talented. Works so hard. I mean, those guys that make it look easy, they're always like the hardest workers. It's not like it's all just natural talent stuff. I mean, they're guys that grind and do all that prep work ahead of time, and then they make calling a game look simple. And Steve's rattling off like the mom and dad and cousin's name of like the guy coming off the bench for Coppin State, probably.
Yep. Oh yeah. They taught us that at Penn State when I studied broadcast journalism. They said when you're calling a game, you want to know the length of their middle finger, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
You want to know everything about them, each player. I mean, yeah. And the greats, that's what they do. They know stuff about the players, and because it's funny, because if we're watching, for example, Penn State football, and they say like Drew Allar or Drew Aller, he's from California. It's like, no, he's not. He's from Ohio. His last name is Aller, like, because the fans will pick it out real quick if you don't know the true details.
Absolutely. That's a great point, though, about the name pronunciation, because there's so many different names. I mean, not all of them are as exotic as Smith. So when you have like these different names, like one of my teammates, his name was NDU. Endu was how you pronounced it. His last name was Egakizi. And his full name was Ndubuisi Egakizi. And it's kind of a mouthful if you're not used to saying it, And so a guy that comes to town, man, you better practice that a bunch of times and have it phonetically spelled out.
Well, you should, my last name in high school, man, they would butcher that all the time. I always, it was funny because I think it was my senior year in football. Belfont, they said it right. But sometimes they would say it, and we would we would all laugh, like my teammates and stuff. They were like, that wasn't even close. Like, are you even like looking at the name? Like, are you just guessing?
Yeah. How would you like it pronounced?
Well, Leskovansky is, that's how you say it, but they could just say Lesko for all I care. That's my nickname. But yeah, Leskovansky. Now they would say like Lezenvowski and Lebanowski, and it was. I mean, I'm like, there's no B in my name. I don't know where you're getting a B.
Yeah.
But my mom's maiden name is Smith, actually, so we're related to Smiths.
Okay.
And she went from Smith to Leskovansky, so
she
went from like the most common, just Smith to Leskovansky, which I don't think, if there's a Leskovansky, like, we're related. Like, it's a very rare name.
Yeah, you have no problem like creating your email address on Gmail. There's like one of you, Whereas Smith, I'm like Smith 35, Smith 39, Smith 42, Smith like 120. No, like they're all taken,
Smith like 12756 is taken. But yeah, and I'm a junior too. So like the one year, like 2016, I voted for my dad, by accident. And
funny.
Yeah, the person that does the voting, we're related to her, so she even got it wrong, and but we voted for the same person, thankfully, so it worked out. But
you're talking like presidential election voting?
Yeah.
That's funny, man. That's
Yeah. So every time I go now, I say junior. And I make sure that
you voted for Kanye, didn't you?
Oh yeah. That was when was Harambe? People voted for Harambe.
I don't know.
The dead. It was a gorilla, dead gorilla.
Yeah.
I think it was 2016. Yeah, Harambe had like 3% of the vote or something like that.
That'll swing an election, man.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. That's like that independent that ran that one time. You remember who I'm talking about? That independent. That was in like 94 or 98.
Maybe Ross Perot?
Yeah, Ross Perot, yeah.
Yes.
And he was like a rich guy, he's kind of like Trump, he was like a rich guy. He's like, I'm going as independent. I'm going to have my own thing. And he got 18% of the vote, I think, which is pretty good.
That's a ton for an independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually a pretty big name there for a while, and we all thought he was pretty cool. I think I was like 7th grade, and I remember he'd hold up he'd do like, I don't know, he'd take out like a 30-minute segment, and he'd hold up like these little graphs, and he'd be like, here's my pie chart, and like, here's what I'm going to do, and here's what's terrible, how I'm going to fix it. And as like a 7th grader, I'm like, I don't know, makes sense to me. I'd vote for him.
Yeah, I remember that. He bought a half hour on NBC just for himself to do that.
Yeah.
But that was funny.
He was all over Saturday Night Live and stuff, like Harvey would impersonate him, and just, it'd be so funny.
Sometimes I'll go on to YouTube and just watch SNL skits. I was watching one the other day. It was an Uber driver, the Beavis and Butthead one. I think that's pretty recent, but oh my goodness, hilarious stuff.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so many funny ones, man. So many. Well, I was talking with somebody recently. We're talking about Christmas movies, and what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Oh man, I was actually going to make a top 5 on, to put up on the show, my top 5, but it's a top. You have to go with Christmas Vacation, for me, but Die Hard's a second one. And the argument is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I think it 100% is a Christmas movie. So Die Hard's 2.
Yes.
National Lampoon's, that's number 1 for sure. So how about you?
Those are good. Love Die Hard. Haven't seen it in a while. I might need to break that out. And I have all girls, so anytime I can show them a violent movie, I'm all about it, because they have too much non-violence in their life.
Yeah.
They need more.
Yeah.
But they so I got to show them that. My wife is all about the Hallmark. It's like Hallmark 24/7. And I always thought Elf was so funny.
That too.
And so somebody was telling me the other day that Elf, like they didn't get like all these permits in New York City to like shut down streets and stuff. They just like spontaneously like film these scenes. And so when he's like running around, in the streets, and I didn't know this, I'm like, that's hilarious. That's so Will Ferrell. He's like eating gum off of like the railing and stuff. I'm like, he probably did that too. Like,
Man,
I wouldn't put it past him.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
I think there's a Netflix documentary about, well, it's like a show, like how they did it or whatever, something like that. And I think that's one of the movies that they like featured, and just some of the funny things about it. And those kinds of things are always fun to read about. Like I think of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I think. Or no, it was Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's the scene where he comes like head to head with this guy, and this guy's got this sword and he's doing like all these like crazy things, and then Indiana Jones just pulls out his gun and shoots him.
Yeah.
And it turns out Indiana Jones was like, he was what's his name? What's his real name in real life?
Oh, Harrison Ford. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Harrison Ford was like really sick that day, but they had to film that scene. They only had a certain amount of time, and they're like, well, what are we going to do? Like, I can't do like this whole fight scene. Like, I'm exhausted. I'm sweating at a temperature of 102. And they're like, what if you just shot him? And he's like, yeah, let's do that. It's fun to learn about those things.
I was going to say the violence that, we were watching these probably before we should have, but it was Indiana Jones. That's what my dad would do. We would watch Indiana Jones, and that, broke our violence, our non-violent streak, watching Indiana Jones. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Another thing about Raiders of the Lost Ark is when he falls in that pit, and is it a king cobra? Is it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
A king cobra is right in his face,
right?
And I think it really depends on what format you're watching it on. We had VHS. But you can see the reflection in the glass. There's glass in between them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you really have to look though, and we caught that like right away, that you could see a reflection, that there was glass in between. And I'm pretty sure in real life Harrison Ford hates snakes.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, and then in the beginning of that movie, he falls in a box of snakes on that train.
Yes.
And then Sean Connery's his dad, and
yeah. Oh, that was Last Crusade. I love that one. That was
really
it
cool. Okay.
Yeah. But there were definitely snakes all throughout those movies, because that was kind of the theme with him. He hates snakes or whatever.
Yeah, and there's another one coming out, I think.
Really?
Yeah, they had the Dial recently. I just saw an ad for it. It's called The Circle or something like that. But
wow.
The last one was the Dial one, and he's old. Like, he's up there in age. Arnold just made a new movie, I think.
No way.
Yeah, and then Sylvester, he's in a series called Tulsa King. That's a great show.
Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
It is so good. I couldn't believe it. Like, I mean, I just kind of came across it on Amazon Prime, and I'm like, dude, I love Stallone. Like, I'll check this out for 30 minutes. I'm like, I am dialed in. Time to like binge on it right now.
Yeah, the best part is they tie in today's age. Like he goes to a legalized marijuana store, and they're all like, I think they're vaping and they're on their phones, and he like throws a cup and hits that guy in the head, and oh man.
Oh my gosh. He's amazing. Like I think he's almost kind of underrated as an actor, because everybody thinks of him as an action guy, but he is phenomenal in that whole movie as like the mafia guy. Like, he's super believable, and like the character is like right up his alley. I'm almost surprised that like he hasn't really played a character kind of like that before. Maybe he has, and I'm just not thinking of it, but he is so good in that series. I really hope there's another season and another season beyond that.
I think they've already filmed season 3, I think.
Oh,
or season
good.
2, whichever one it is. I think it's season 3.
Wow.
So that's coming out, I think, in 2025. But yeah, it was always the battle between him and Arnold, who was better actor. And I give all the credit in the world to Arnold as an actor. He was in, like, my favorite movie of, well, he played a lot of different roles, but he was in Jingle All the Way. He was in Twins, Kindergarten Cop. He was in Predator. Predator is my favorite of his.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a, badass movie. Him and Jesse Ventura, and
yes,
that's a great movie.
So good, man. So it's funny. The company I work with now is called Zimmer Biomet. It's a medical device company. And our CEO was like, hey, everybody's got to tune in at 3:00. We've got a major announcement to make. And we're like, what are you talking about? Arnold is now like the spokesman for Zimmer Biomet, like this medical device company. Because I guess he's had like his hip replaced, his knee replaced, and all these parts are in him. And he's all about getting people to exercise and move and all this stuff. And he's like, it's all about the movement. You must move the body because you can't sit still. We're making America healthy. We need to do great things. And I'm like, this is great, man. We got Arnold. Like, I hope I get to meet him at like a sales conference or something. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. That's a great impersonation too. Jeez.
Probably because my nose is stuffed out.
Well, you know what's crazy? Like, he never lost his accent. Like, never.
No, I know.
And I don't know. I'm sure he doesn't want to lose it, but I think I was like purposeful on his end, because he's a politician too, so it's probably purposeful on his end to keep his accent. So he just has a signature accent,
Yes.
Same with Sly. Sly has that, that.
Yeah.
That,
he's got such a great voice, man. Like, just when I was watching that show, I'm like, dude, what a great voice. And just his little micro expressions and stuff. I'm like, dude, this guy, he's incredible. But both those guys have really good documentaries on Netflix too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. Yeah, Arnold's life is very interesting. So is Sly. Sly came from like very, well, him and Arnold both came from very, very poor backgrounds. And it's cool that Sly's an Eagles guy. Like, I'm a Steelers fan, but he's like diehard Philly,
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've been on the steps there in Philly. I have. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we ran up it with my girls the one time, and they've seen like little bits and pieces of Rocky. I don't think the whole thing through yet, so I have not winning Father of the Year yet. That's also on the list. Die Hard and more bloody Rocky movies.
First Blood, you gotta do First Blood too.
Yeah, I know.
Number one, First Blood 1 is, oh my goodness, that's an unbelievable movie. That's a classic. That's a classic movie.
Oh, so many good.
Takes out the whole town single-handedly.
Yes. And as a kid, you're like, that is totally reasonable. I can totally see him doing that. Probably me when I get older and stronger and faster.
Yep. Yeah. It's, like, well, first of all, he takes out like the whole police force, and then his commander shows up and he's like, we're bringing the National Guard. He's like, doesn't matter. He's like, you're not going to stop them. Taking on a whole army up in a mountain.
Yeah. Oh man.
Tyler, did you know that I just found this out, that Joe Jaravicious' daughter plays volleyball at Penn State. Did you know that?
So it's interesting you say that, because we were watching the game on Sunday night, and I hear Jaravicious. I'm like, that's got to be his daughter because of the age and the athleticism. I'm like, it's got to be. Like, you just don't hear it's like Leskomansky. Like, you don't hear that.
How about it?
And boy, she is amazing. She's such a good player.
Did you know Joe? Do you know him?
No, I don't really know him. When did he graduate? Was he like 90?
Well, his last season was 97. He was drafted in 98. You got there in 98, right?
Yeah, I was there in 98. Yeah, so I just missed him. I haven't really crossed paths with him, but look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, there's Joe and Mike, and that's Curtis Enos and Joe Paterno, and I can't.
Brandon Short? I can't see the picture.
Yeah, that might be Brandon Short. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But that's Curtis Enos, Joe, Mike, and Joe again. Yeah, but yeah, man, that's cool. Patrick Ewing's daughter's at Penn State too, I think, for volleyball.
Yeah, yeah. Does she play a lot? I didn't maybe hear that.
I don't think so.
Okay, okay. But that's really cool and fun to see. Like, there's also was it Calvin Booth? I think his daughter was going to come to Penn State and play volleyball. I don't know if she still is.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Biggie Small's daughter was at school when I was in school. Biggie Small's daughter.
Oh, really?
And I was actually around her one time, and I was like, man, like that's the girl that he was rapping about. And I forget what song. I should remember it, but it was like the line where he's like, I was just trying to get food to feed my daughter, and I was like, that's her right there. Like that's crazy. But yeah, she went to Penn State. But then like you probably know Melanie Collins. She went to State College, and who else? Matt Roll went to State College.
Yes, Matt
Some
Roll.
of the local guys.
Yep.
Lisa Salters went to Penn State. So yeah.
Well, and I'm just so happy for Katie Schumacher. Well, I know her as Katie Schu, because we were in school at the same time, and we would always go watch the women's volleyball team play. And yeah, she was such a wonderful person, and has done an amazing job this year. I think she just won Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I think she did. Yes.
So happy for her, and just all she's doing with battling cancer and everything. I mean, just an incredible person. And yeah, I mean, I'm just so proud of her and happy for her, but how hard is that to follow a guy like coach like Russ Rose? You got like what, 7 national titles or something? Like, I mean, that's the hardest thing ever to try and do that, but she's doing fantastic.
Yeah, you always I always hate to see that they got that thing on their head, and it's like, that they're battling cancer when you have that. She has that cover on her head, and man, that's good for her. Because, man, I don't know what that's like to have cancer, but I know you get really sick, and for what she's doing with that is pretty amazing, So
Yeah, and talking with a lot of people that have gone through that, it seems like you want those other things too to kind of help you, distract you a little bit, or just give you, rather than just sitting around, even though you're probably not feeling good. It's better to have that purpose. We're all meant to have a mission. We're meant to have purpose in life, and when you don't have that, that's when it's hardest. But I mean, still to be able to be coaching at such an elite level, and her team just rallying around her. Boy, they're Final Four now. I'm so pulling for them. I really want to see them win the title this year. That would be such an amazing story.
Yeah, that would be awesome for them to come back and win another one. I don't think they've won one since Russ left.
Yeah,
but
a while for them. It was a few years
for them. Yes,
a while
it's like
for
UConn basketball and
Penn State basketball is like never, but never know, man.
Oh, they're turning it around. They're turning it around.
I know. They got
I thought that was interesting that she was, that she was playing here, Joe Jerevich's daughter. Back in the day, Tyler, this is a while ago, but there was an armed robbery at his house, Joe Jerevich's house, and it was a pretty big, I think it was a national story because he spoke at the hearing, or whatever the court term is. He spoke, and it was really bad. Like, this guy was there and threatening him and his family, and he ended up getting this guy went to prison for life, I think. Man, that was a wild story.
Dude, that's great.
That happened to him. I think it was in Tampa, because I believe he lives in Tampa.
Oh, okay.
Because he played for the Bucks. And him and Bobby Ingram both played against the Steelers in the Super Bowl in 2005. They were both on that Seahawks team. Yeah.
Wow.
So some history there, but Tyler, we got Drexel Saturday. Lost to Rutgers, which I hate it when you lose to, when you lose like this to a Rutgers who, they're a good team, but inferior to us, I would say. And then they beat up on Coppin State. So, and then they got Penn coming in. You know, I thought of that guy that they got in Altoona, that Louis Mangione guy. He went to Penn.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was crazy that they got him in Altoona.
Crazy. I mean, McDonald's in Altoona, like, you've got to be kidding. And sure enough, like, and it's like, what a weird story. Like, I wonder, like, how much more there is to that story. I never feel like I get the whole thing. Like, we're only hearing bits and pieces from the media. Like, you know, what is really the whole background on this guy? Because that's just nuts. Like, you know, so many people say, oh, he was kind of this normal guy. Yeah, great student, good athlete, all this stuff. And you're like, what? I don't know. At the same time, you know, you don't always know what's going on inside people's heads, even though, you know, you see their actions. So,
yeah, I believe he's still in Pennsylvania. I think he's in Huntington.
Oh, really? In Huntington? Jeez.
Yeah. Huntington, that's a really rough prison. I think that was known as one of the hardest prisons in America. There was a guy on Joe Rogan that was on death row at Huntington prison, and he got off of death row, and he was interviewed by Joe. But yeah, I think he's still in Pennsylvania. I don't think he's even been sent to New York yet, but his attorney is from Altoona. He's got an Altoona attorney.
Of course.
Which is crazy. I thought maybe some people I know might know him. I haven't really asked, but yeah, that's an interesting story, man. It's crazy that you got to, when you're out in public, it's like, got to have one eye open at all times, you know, you just don't know. So,
man, it's nuts, man. Situational awareness, man.
That's right.
I always talk to my girls about that. Just know where your exits are. You know, you're in a theater, you're in a stadium, hey, restaurant, know where the exits are. Sit face on the door.
Got to have mace on the keychain, you know.
I know. Yeah.
You know, I got a sister, so I always, almost every time I see her, I'm like, give me your keychain. She gives it to me. She's got her mace on there. I was like, you know how to use it? She's like, yep. All right. You never know.
That's good. So, good.
But, good yeah, I was going to go Saturday, Tyler, but I decided just to stay in and chill and relax. But, yeah, Coppin State, and then they're at Drexel, and then they got a stretch of home games here. Indiana's good. You know, the thing that we thought would happen last time is that they would be ranked, and they weren't.
Yeah, you know, I think I was looking at some of these other teams over the weekend playing, and there's some good teams that top 25, man. I mean, of course. But I think Penn State, Purdue was such a good win, but I think they needed like one more. You know, had they beat Rutgers, maybe that launches them into it. But I think you need to rattle off a few good ones and good wins to really crack that top 25. I didn't see, they might have gotten some votes, but you know, if they get a good win against Drexel, I hope. Now this game is always a dangerous game because students are gone. Although it's away, correct? Is that Drexel?
Yeah, at Drexel. Yep.
So that might even make it a little bit harder because you're driving over to Drexel, and then you everybody's just ready to go home. Like they just, man, I need a couple of days, and they're going to get a couple of days at home. But we would always play Bucknell on December 22nd, and then we got to go home for we'd go home the 23rd and come back either Christmas or the day after. And so guys are just itching to get out of there. And it's not that you're not focused on the game, but you're just so ready to have a break because you've been grinding all summer and fall and winter now. And so, man, Bucknell should have beaten us a couple of times in a row. But we'd barely squeak by. We'd beat them by 4, you know. And I can remember one game we beat them, but man, it felt kind of like we lost because the coaches were so mad at us that, you know, we hadn't played better and whatever. And I remember Joe Crispin coming to the locker room and being like, there's no way that those guys are faster than me, but they're playing faster. I have no legs right now.
You got the pre-Christmas, food coma sitting in.
Yeah. But that's fine because that's a 12 o'clock game, I think. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Penn State playoff football, Penn State basketball. We're going to have to, do a split screen or something.
But yeah, exactly. Both at noon. That's why we have man caves, Tyler. You got to have like 3 TVs and
right. Just all of them.
Yeah. Tyler, you had a teammate, right? That is he the GM of the Nuggets now?
Yeah, so that's Calvin Booth, who I mentioned earlier. So we played together one year. He was a fifth-year senior when I was a freshman. And quietest dude ever. But, man, you talk about long arms, wingspan. He wore a size 19 shoe. Like, you go into his, apartment, and, if his shoes were on the floor, forget it. You couldn't get around anywhere because they took up the whole room. But super, super guy. And, played in the NBA, got drafted second round, got a really nice contract a couple years in and a contract year for him. And then I know he had some injuries, but he stuck around for a while and then jumped right into scouting with the Timberwolves and maybe somebody else. But, and then worked his way up. And all of a sudden it was dude, Calvin's head of scouting, man. Calvin's assistant GM. And then boom, Calvin's GM of the freaking Denver Nuggets. So I'm that's amazing, So
yeah, good for him.
Awesome, dude.
That's awesome. And your coach, Jerry Dunn, one of my favorite coaches of all time. Dude, he always had the suit, He had the great mustache. I mean, just he had the look, man,
Look, yeah, the power belts, he was a sharp dressed dude, man. I don't know if it was him or his lovely wife Gwen, but always dressed sharp, always ready to go. Had a nice cologne, just always look fresh. And it's funny, a lot of people don't know, but he has a twin brother, Terry. So Terry was also a coach, coached at Dartmouth, coached at Colorado, and one time, I think it was an away game, I want to say in New York, and we all get on the bus, and coach is sitting in the front seat as usual, hey, coach. We all say hi, we go, and we sit down. And then everybody's on the bus, and then from the back of the bus, Coach Dunn starts walking from the back of the bus, and we're like, wait, what is going on here? And nobody told us that his brother was in town. And they have the same mustache, the same hairline, everything. It was hilarious. So they got a real kick out of that. But yeah, we're such a great dude. And I get to see him sometimes when he comes back in town for Coaches versus Cancer, that golf tournament.
Yeah, that's a big tournament, Tyler. I know you play in that, and then it's crazy because I've known some twins, and it's insane how much they look alike, like identical twins. It's geez.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that he had a twin.
Yeah, Jerry and Terry.
Wow. And he was with the Knicks fairly recently, 2012, 2013. He was a Tuskegee. But when you play in that tournament, Tyler, you play with a celebrity, right? Each foursome gets a celebrity, is it right? You get.
Yeah, so it's funny. They used to call them celebrities, and then what happened was they wouldn't be real celebrities. You don't have Tom Brady or Denzel coming in, or anything. It would be oh, it's the manager from the '87 team, And so we're we got to rethink our framing and messaging around this. So we call them captains now. So we're all captains.
Okay.
And if there's some kind of association with the program, it might be a coach, it might be a former player, it could be, whatever. But it's a really fun tournament. It's really grown. It's a great group. I'm on the board that just kind of helps organize it a little bit and try and connect with the captains and bring more alumni back in town for it. And there is a ton of money for cancer, and usually it all stays local. It's a really cool thing. It's typically, I think, end of May, beginning of June, and boy, it's phenomenal. We eat so well on the course, and it's really cool thing. One of the things they've done the last number of years is they brought in a long driver. So one of these guys that competes in long drive competitions. And man, I'd never seen anything like this. This guy's like, hey, for $20, you can use my drive instead of yours. I was like, well, how far can you drive it? He's like, watch this. And this driver head is like massive. And I'm like, well, first of all, that looks like it's cheating because the head of my driver is nowhere near that size. And he goes up and he cranks it out there like 400 something yards. I'm like, okay, that was impressive.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of cool things that they do with it. But Coaches versus Cancer, we get you over there, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That would be awesome. I went to Tiger Camp when I was a kid. And the pro, I can't remember. I think his name is Joe. You know what I'm talking about? The pro at Penn State?
Yes.
Hold on a second. I want to show you something. But yeah, he ran the camp.
Okay. We lost you. He went dark.
I just wanted to grab something and show you real quick. But yeah, they had the Tiger Camp, and I went to that. And the pro, he was really good. The pro that was there. But I won a long drive contest when I was 12.
Whoa!
At that camp, and I got this driver head, right?
Yes.
For my driver. But that's my driver right there. It's pretty big, but it's probably not as big as that other guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I won this, and
you won that at 12. That's awesome.
You know what's crazy? I cannot find it anywhere. Like they don't make them anymore.
Really?
Because I remember each Big Ten team had a driver head like that, like a big fat driver head.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I kept it and I still use it. But
yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was my drive was 250 when I was 12.
Oh,
won that driver head. Yeah.
Impressive. That's fun.
I hit on a white course. I hit 370 one time.
Oh,
so that's my record.
Dude, that's amazing.
But it's on 13, so it's a little downhill, So
all right. Listen,
but
we'll take it, man.
And I had a witness too. So
yeah, that's impressive, man. Well, yeah, they'll give out surprises for a long drive, straightest drive, longest putt, all that good stuff. But
yeah, tournaments are fun.
A lot of fun.
They're a lot of fun.
One of the assistant coaches for Pat Chambers, Keith Ergo, he's now the head coach of Fordham. He was playing not in Coaches versus Cancer, but a different tournament. And he got the hole-in-one on the par 3 and won a car.
No kidding.
Yeah. And they're like, well, you can have the car or you could just take the cash equivalent. He's like, well, I already have a car. And it wasn't like, a Lamborghini or something. I don't know what kind of car it was. So he walked home with this big old check for whatever, like, I don't know, 25 grand or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a good day.
Have you ever gotten a hole-in-one?
No, I have not. I don't think even really close. How about you?
No. Come close, but it's such a rare thing, man. Like, I think it was Alex Ovechkin, the hockey player. He got a hole-in-one, and he's not good at golf. It's very hard, like most people and athletes. Like playing golf is a totally different thing. So I think his joke was like he's terrible at golf, but he got a hole-in-one.
Got a hole-in-one.
Like never played again. He just got a hole-in-one, and then.
That's so funny. That's funny you say that. I came across a clip of David Goggins hitting a hole-in-one.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, I'm the worst mother effing golfer ever. I just got a hole-in-one. Oh my God, so Goggins.
Oh, yeah. He's Steve Jury. He's a Goggins guy. I think his Facebook photo is with David Goggins. Yeah, he's a man. He's something else. I'll tell you what, David Goggins.
He's unreal, man. I love that dude, man. It just shows you there's always another level,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, Tyler, we talk about celebrities and Flavor Flav. He's a big Penn State basketball guy. You know him?
I have not met him, but I would see him at all the games, and he would crack me up, man. He'd be dancing, just having like the best, like more fun than anybody else in the BJC. I'm like, you need to come to all the games. So Shep Garner was, I think, his nephew or something, right? And so Flava Flav would be there, and Shep's mom and family, and they were so fun to just seeing the crowd just having such a good time, you know.
Yeah, I remember his show. Always had that big clock around his neck.
Yes, yes.
But Tyler, the question I have for you is, can Penn State make the big dance? And, going forward through, this year, they got Michigan, Oregon, Michigan State, long season, UCLA. It's interesting with the new Big Ten, but I mean, what do you see happening with this team? I mean, can we make the tournament? Like, can we beat some good teams? I mean,
yeah, I think they certainly have the pieces to do it. They've got a phenomenal leader and floor manager you've seen with Ace Baldwin. And I mean, you kind of win and lose with your guards, man. I mean, your bigs are important, but like bigs get in foul trouble. Bigs sometimes I don't know. They don't they don't control the pace like guards do, and they're long and athletic. Now, there's a lot of long and athletic teams out there, but I think the fact that they've actually like played together a little bit, as opposed to so many of these teams now, they are just kind of being pieced and thrown together every year because of the transfer portal and all that. So I think you've got plenty of talent on there, and you've got guys that are really hungry to prove themselves. And that's one of the advantages. Like, people knock Penn State. Well, they haven't had the success of other big major universities. Well, no, but at the same time, that like when you are sitting in that position, it gives you that chip on your shoulder, and you're like, man, we want to make a name for ourselves. And I think these guys are really hungry to do that. So the big dance is certainly a possibility for these guys, and at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to them. I think if they can find some ways to win the grinded out Big Ten games, there's always going to be like a couple that slip away. That's part of a long season. But I like this squad. I think they certainly have the tools to do it.
Yeah, I don't think they have issues on the inside, down in the paint. I think they're good there. But yeah, like you said, it's going to come down to the guards. Ace Baldwin is amazing. One of the best players we've had. And that's all credit to Coach Rhodes bringing him in, and then Joe being there, Joe Crispin, and the mentor and just the mind that he has. He'll be and he said that when I saw him at the Spikes game, when he signed his bobblehead and stuff, he said, about Ace Baldwin coming back and all that stuff. So I know he's a big Ace Baldwin guy. But yeah, man, like it's one of those things where when you have a 7-footer, you have a huge advantage because not everyone has that, as you know. And I think, I don't know, in my opinion, I think down in the paint they're good, but it's really going to come down to just basketball is so finicky, man, because some guy can get hot and just you can upset anybody, but I think we're a talented team, and they just gotta execute. They gotta have that consistency, like beating a Rutgers or beating these teams that they should beat. So
yeah, and I think they're at home. They're going to be very good. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and it's those road games. Can you steal a road game here and there? I mean, nobody wins all their road games, but I think if they could maybe steal one or two, like that's going to be awesome. I mean, I just think back to how exciting that Illinois game was last year in Rec Hall, that they really should have lost, but found a way to pull it out. And Zach Mills hits a bunch of huge free throws down the stretch, because Illinois were they ranked? Were they like top 10 or something at the time?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Illinois was. Yeah, they were like 8. I think they were like 8.
Yeah.
And we beat them.
Yeah. So I anticipate Penn State getting some really good wins like that, just like they did against Purdue at home. And so the key will be, hey, can we steal a couple on the road? And that's all you need, And then you get into the Big Ten tournament, get a win or two, and if you've done enough in the season, then that's all it'll take. So, obviously easier said than done, man. It is so hard to get in, but it's going to be fun when we got these new teams on the schedule. Do we have Oregon? I'm looking a little closer here. We got UCLA,
Oregon.
Yeah,
we got Ohio State, Michigan, UCLA,
yeah.
USC. Obviously, will be at USC in February. So that's another aspect of this too, man. Is football? You're going week by week. We went to USC, Washington came here. Basketball, it's a lot more games, so you're going back and forth. Like that's a lot. That's a lot of traveling, especially going way out to the West Coast, especially Washington, man. Like that's that's Northwest. Like that's way out there.
Way out.
So, and they should listen to Franklin and get a bigger airport.
I know.
It's easier said than done.
Summer project, everybody. Get your work gloves, your boots, some shovels. We're adding some concrete.
I would help.
I know, everybody would. It'd be just like when they need to shovel snow, at these NFL state like the Bills and stuff, and they just call on 20,000 people. That's all you got to do. Just get a few people know what they're doing. Be like, here you go, smooth this out over here.
It's it's not necessarily we need an international airport, but we need a bigger airport. I've been saying that for a long time. I remember when Bill Clinton came here. That was in I don't know what. He was the president at the time, I think.
Yeah, mid-90s.
When he got peachy paterno. He tried to mix flavors. He was the only person that ever did that. But they were saying it back then. The president just came here. Let's get a bigger airport. That would be amazing. That would be awesome if they did that. Because I think it was Woody Hayes. He used to say it's right out there in the middle of nowhere.
I know.
They used to have 2 planes come in from Harrisburg, and he would put the starters on one plane, and then the second team on another plane. And I think he said something like, "Well, if the second plane goes down, we got our starters on this plane, so we're good." So
that's so fun. That's really funny. I
think that's what a lot of teams do. They have to bring a bus in.
Yeah. Bobby Knight was saying the same thing back in the day, and he has some famous quote. I can't remember it now, but he would always want to complain about how he hated coming out here.
Do you know Dan Dockich?
Yes.
Yeah. So he has his own show on Outkick. Don't at me. Great show. He's awesome. But he talks about playing for Bobby Knight, yeah.
Oh, he's a character, man. I tell you.
Do you know him personally?
No, I don't know him personally, but just listening to him, oh my gosh, he was. I'm trying to remember where he coached. I think I remember getting recruited by him a little bit, and I'm forgetting the school, but I have to look up.
I'm pretty sure he was at Indiana.
He was. But I think it wasn't when he was at Indiana. It was mid-90s. I want to say something like a Bowling Green, but that's probably not right.
I'll pull it up.
Dan Dockich.
So when you were in school, he was at Bowling Green. Yep.
Okay. Yep. He was head coach of Bowling Green, mid-90s, and I remember getting recruited by him a little bit. I didn't know he was such a character he is now, but he's very interesting to listen to. That's for sure.
He is. Yeah, he's got a great show. And Outkick in general is just a great channel. But I did have a Outkick flag. I put it up, but I moved my background again, so I'm again, I got to put it back up, Tyler. I
Hey,
just got my wall back there, but
your intro more than made up for it.
yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm glad you like that. I'm gonna have to make one for this show, So, but
Cool.
yeah, Indiana, Bowling Green, and then Indiana again. Yeah, but oh yeah, definitely a character. But yeah, Tyler, I just find it fascinating right now that they're doing so good because this record that they have is very good. They beat a very good Purdue team preseason number one. I mean, they dominated them totally.
Yeah.
So I'm very optimistic about this team. So, going forward, I'm just it's just kind of like, what are we gonna do? But yeah. I mean, do you think we're good in the paint? I mean, you think we're good with the big guys?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, with as athletic as he is and his length, it's like you erase a lot of mistakes. I remember that's how it was with Calvin Booth. Like anytime you got beat, Cal, help me out, Cal. So it's awesome to have that guy back there. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what they'll do, man. I always follow them closely, but makes it that much more fun when you feel like these guys, man, they got a legit shot to do some damage this year.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And I look forward to keep talking about them. I just hope that at the end of this year, regardless of how the regular season goes, that I hope they make the tournament, and I truly do think that they can. Um, I don't. The last time, the last time they had a start like this, Tyler, and I could be totally wrong. But I think it was when they last made the tournament under Micah, Coach Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
I mean, Penn State basketball, they typically don't start, you have like your cupcakes, if you will, at the beginning of the season, but they typically don't start this hot.
Yeah. No, I think, were they 9-2 now or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. 9-2. Yes.
9-2.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Standings wise, they're like down in the bottom somewhere, but.
Yeah, and they don't have any bad losses. Like it's not usually a good sign when you have like a bad loss early on, like when Penn State lost to Bucknell at home, and it wasn't right before Christmas break. I remember when that happened. And there was another bad one that maybe a couple years ago. You're just like, oh, like that's not good, and those will happen. But when you're starting off like really winning the games they should, like they are, they're really scoring at such a high clip, and they're getting used to that, like when I was at one of their practices, I heard Joe say, don't get bored with scoring. Sometimes you get up by 20 and you're just kind of like, I'm going to score. It's like, or I'm going to coast. And it's no, like accelerate even more, so that I think they're getting comfortable being a high scoring, high offense team. And not all teams are sometimes. So that's really fun to see their tempo.
Yeah. And it is kind of, I think, a little too early to tell, but yeah, very optimistic, as I said, Tyler. So, is there anything else you want to talk about right now for this episode?
Oh, thanks, man. This has been a lot of fun. We got a little Christmas movie in there. We got some, let's say, volleyball, Final Four, and basketball, football this Saturday. It's going to be an awesome weekend. And I hope you have a great holiday, man.
Yeah, you going to the game?
I'm not going to be going this weekend, but we'll definitely be watching.
All right. Sounds good, man. Well, Tyler, until next time, yeah, if there's nothing else you want to talk about this episode, I'm good. And then hopefully we have some good news when we report back. But yeah, it's always good to have you on, and you got a lot of great insight. Hopefully, I want to get Brett on here. He's the basketball guy for this podcast, so
cool.
It'll be cool to talk with him too. So
yeah, absolutely, man. This is fun as always. And are you going to the game on Saturday?
No. I'm just gonna watch it at home. It's one thing about going to games, man. There's no commentary. It's either hot or cold. Beer is way more expensive than it is at home. So stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it'll be fun either way, man. But yeah, enjoy, and we'll catch up again soon.
All right, Tyler. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
You too.
See ya.